So that way they would get touched more than once versus, oh, like that sounded gross.
Touch me more than once.
No, I can't.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us for Marketing Beat this week. My name is Beverley Theresa, and I'm a social media strategist. This week, we're going to be talking with Ameet about strategies for pay-per-click advertising for nonprofit organizations. This is Ameet.
I'm Ameet, and I own an online marketing company that specializes in pay-per-click advertising. Beverly was slightly incorrect in my topic. It's just it's paid strategies, not PPC.
Oh, sorry.
So I think this one's going to be a little bit quicker than the other ones, just because it's not as dense. But whatever. So the first strategy that I suggest for an NPO is kind of going with a micro-influencer type of campaign. So it's a bit more social media-y than PPC, but it's still super effective because we're thinking about locality in this sense. So what I think really works well is obviously users, they rely on like an authority figure to tell them what's up or what's good and what's not. And that's why the whole influencer media is basically set up on. So it's kind of, I know that NPOs don't necessarily have a ton of money to work with, but you can always take little bits of cash and disperse it to several small people versus one large sum of cash and then just to one person. So the one thing that Andy actually spoke about this at iMedia in March, where they treated influencers as billboards in a sense, where they wanted to keep everything basically in the same neighborhood. If we're talking about analogies here, so if we were talking about fitness people, they would all maybe 3 or 4 fitness people that had users from or the same kind of users or the same kind of followers, so that way they would get touched more than once versus, oh, like that sounded gross.
Touch me more than once.
No, I can't. They'll get
So professional.
Oopsie daisy.
Too much touching.
Too much touching, yeah. Well, essentially what you want to do is expose your brand to as many people as possible. So if you do it to as many people as possible, but as many times as possible as well. So if you're going with a micro-influencer campaign, that actually really helps quite a bit. So instead of, let's use you and I as an example. Somebody wants to sell a reporting or an analytics tool, basically, and it'll incorporate social media stuff, analytics, which is essentially both of us. A great strategy for that company would be to obviously hire both of us to sponsor content. Because one, our audiences intersect to a certain degree, so people will get seen not the ad, like they'll see the content more than once, but they also widen out their reach because they're getting both sides of the scale. And then maybe we'd put in, what's a third company that would intersect really well?
SEO.
Yeah, maybe like a kick point or something, where we would put Dana in the middle and then that would intersect really well. I don't know. Sure. That was the first one I thought of. So, so basically that's basically what we're doing with an influencer campaign is we're taking people that have maybe smaller followings, but they also have somewhat the same following. So that way you're actually hitting people more than once, but you're also widening out your reach and not spending a ton of money doing it. Am I disrupting you by any chance?
No, I was just writing in my next week's thing.
Just kidding.
I was just updating it for you.
Oh, why, thank you. So strategy number 2 is simplifying existing content. So the one thing that NPOs do not have a shortage of is content. they generate so much because they've got people on staff just creating more and more, but they just don't know how to amplify that. Oh, oopsie daisy, what am I doing here? That drop kind of messed me up a bit. So consumers essentially go through 4 stages when they're kind of going through like the buyer's journey, I guess, really. So the first time is essentially awareness, when they're realizing that they have a problem or they have a problem that needs to be fixed or whatever. Consideration is when they're considering the solutions. Decision is when they're ready to buy, but then loyalty comes into it, where they're trying to make them come back, either making repeat purchases or at least looking for you for guidance. And I think that's where NPOs kind of lack a little bit, is that they fall short on the content creation side or content amplification side. They actually do really well with content creation. So I think a lot of them need to understand, or at least this is the issue that I've seen, is that they just like don't really know how to write content for each journey. They just throw out content and then they go at it. And I mean, that's what most of us do. And I mean, I've done it myself, so I can't really sit there and be like, well, you're doing it wrong, because I've done it wrong myself. But it's also something that obviously needs to be fixed. So understanding where your buyer is in their journey, and then writing content towards that, because that'll just get amplified even more. And the last one, the best one, is am I flying through these? Yeah, I totally am. Is the Google Ads grant. So basically, you can find out if you're eligible. Actually, let me show you guys the URL, because I won't be able to do it otherwise.
They could Google Ads.
Google, yes, they could. So this is the URL that you would use to apply for a Google Ads grant. So I'm going to leave this out there for another 2 seconds. 1, 2, okay.
Thanks for counting.
Yeah, kind of had to. So basically what the NPO grant does is that charities that are eligible and they qualify get $10,000 USD every single month from Adwords. And then basically you get that money just to advertise on the search network, not on the display network. So it's a really great way to blanket, not blanket content, but blanket a massive campaign, essentially.
How do they know if they're eligible?
So there's something called TechSoup. So you have to have an account with them. I can't quite remember what exactly TechSoup is, if I'm going to be entirely honest with you right now. But you have to register with TechSoup Canada or TechSoup, I think it's global. And then just do like the regional arm of it, or whatever the fuck it's called. And then you also have to be a registered charity with CRA. So if you've got an NPO and you're not registered, you don't count, because it technically isn't a charity. I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so then you have to just do it in the corresponding province, and you have to have your number ready because they're going to ask for it. So there's no way for you to like weasel your way in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple things that you actually have to do to maintain eligibility. So they don't give you $10,000 every single month and then go, bye. Well, we're going to keep on giving you, $120,000 every single year to advertise, and we're not going to check up on you, right? So you have to make sure that you have a website, obviously. Your ads have to have a purpose. So it's either gaining more volunteers or getting more donations, maybe answering some questions with your blog post or something like that, so you can amplify that content that you already have existing. It can't be a financial product. So if it's like debt consolidation or something along those lines, you're not going to be eligible. And I can't talk. I can never talk these days. At media, somebody in the crowd actually was asking. So the organization that he works for has multiple arms. And one of them was they would hire people, essentially homeless people, I guess, or teens. I can't quite remember if it was just strictly homeless people or if it was specific to teens or whatever. Yeah, so the organization essentially would hire homeless people as movers. So
Okay.
moving your home, right? So obviously they got paid for that. And the organization gets paid for the services as well. So it would actually not count as an NPO because it's a for-profit business. Even though what they're doing is noble, it's not, it doesn't work.
Right.
So that's something to always be you have to be wary of it because you actually have to check. So if you're a business that's doing something really nice, you don't count, unfortunately. It sucks. It really does suck. But if you're a for-profit business, you can't. It doesn't matter how great or how amazing what you're doing is. They don't care, right? At the end of the day, they only want to help the ones that are registered as a charity.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't. And then your keywords. Keyword relevance is a big thing with the NPO accounts. So your ad copy has to be relevant to the program or the service that you're offering. So you can't use like in a regular campaign, I could literally target any keyword I want, and I'm just gonna have to pay for it. That's it. Like they don't ban me, they don't do anything. That's essentially it, unless I'm like completely violating a terms of service, but usually we're not. With an NPO account, you can't actually do that. So it actually has to be extremely relevant to not your business, to your organization in order for you to maintain that eligibility. Because if you start going off on like buy cars now and you're the Alberta Cancer Foundation, they're not going to like that. So yeah, you have to really, really make sure that you're narrowing in on the keywords that you actually really want to go for. Because if you're not, you will probably get banned. And then the other half is no commercial advertising. So you're not allowed to promote products or services from like another organization or something like that, because some have tried. So if it's like a sister company or something like that, you can't direct traffic towards it. It's another way to get yourself banned. And then the last is account activity. So we can't, like in an ads account, we can set it and forget it if we really, really wanted to. Obviously, that's not good practice, and it's going to end up costing you a fuck ton more money than you've expected if you do that. But with a Google Ads grant, you can't do that at all, even if you wanted to. So you actually have to be active in the account at least once a month, I believe it is. And then if you fail to log in for 3 months straight, I think they just like completely cancel your account without any notification at that point.
Oh.
Because it's the same thing. They don't want to be wasting their own advertising space that they could potentially be making money on if you're not going to use it correctly. It definitely does make sense. Because that's money out of their pocket at the end of the day, and they are a business. And I mean, yes, they make a ton of money, but at the end of the day, they still are a business. So we have to remember that we have to take what was given to us, but we have to use it correctly as well. So that's why using like a company always is a great idea, unless you're in-house and you know that you have to go in once a month, and you're good to go. There's also like CTR implications where I think you have to have, oh God. Actually, I'm not going to say it. It's a percentage. You have to have a certain percentage of CTR. They changed it a little while ago, and I haven't worked on an NPO account in a little while, so I don't really remember off the top of my head. But you can't have like a 0.2% CTR and be like, yeah, we're okay. They actually want you optimizing these accounts and actually getting people through the door, and not obviously wasting their money. So,
That's why they work with a professional. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's basically it, actually. So this one was a short one because NPOs are hard, not going to lie.
So next week, we're going to talk about tools and resources to help step up your social media game. So I'm going to actually be showing you apps that I use on my phone and on the computer. Besides the boring social media management apps, we'll go over like some video and photo editing apps, Canva, and things like that. So That's next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can find replays of our videos on YouTube with all the crap edited out. So it's just the meaty bits of information. We upload those on Tuesday every week, and
my PPC
subscribe.
glossary is officially out.
Right. Yeah. Yay!
So
download
head
it.
over to my website or find a link in one of my bios, and it'll directly send you to the form that will allow you to download it.
Yeah, and isn't it like the ultimate because it's like the one that has the most terms?
It literally does have the most terms. It's 162 terms. The biggest one out there right now, I think, is 158. So we beat it by 4 terms.
So join us next week on Tuesday or Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. I swear.
It will be. You get to see inside my phone. All the nudes. Just kidding.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.